we need to talk about our absolute most critical asset right now, our web applications. We're talking about defending the digital front door. And doing that, it requires both serious technical precision and strategic business alignment.
So just think about it for a second. Is your digital front door wide open? Because our web apps are literally the front door to our modern business. They process our proprietary data, handle our finances, and frankly, power the daily lives of our customers. And because they're publicly accessible, well, they're the #1 target for attackers. A single unaddressed flaw here, it isn't just a technical glitch. It can mean a complete destruction of user trust and massive financial loss.
Okay, here is our roadmap for today. We'll quickly hit 5 key areas. First, the digital front door. Second, understanding the OWASP standard. Third, deconstructing critical risks. Fourth, the true business cost. And finally, targeted risk mitigation. Let's dive right in. Starting off with Section 1, the digital front door, and recognizing the core threat to modern business operations. You know, we aren't just telling our engineering teams to go write good code anymore. That mindset is totally outdated. Today, application security is an active, constantly evolving discipline, and it is absolutely critical to our overall business survival.
So, how do we systematically defend ourselves? Well, we don't guess. The entire industry relies on OWASP. That's the Open Worldwide Application Security Project. It's this incredible nonprofit foundation that aggregates global data to create a standard blueprint. Instead of our teams trying to figure out what threats to focus on in a vacuum, OWASP replaces that guesswork with hard, actionable data pulled from thousands of organizations and security pros all over the globe. Which brings us to Section 2, understanding the OWASP standard, and specifically their definitive top 10 list of critical flaws. This is exactly where we start getting strategic about our resource allocation. This framework tells us exactly where attackers are most likely to strike today. The OWASP top 10 categories cover it all, ranging from broken access control and cryptographic failures all the way down to missing security logs and server-side request forgery. This exact list details the top vulnerabilities and is the core playbook used right now by DevSecOps, compliance teams, and our own security engineers to focus their energy where it actually matters most. Let's see how this all builds in Section 3, deconstructing critical risks. Because we really need to translate these abstract technical threats into tangible business risks. To do that, we're going to zoom in on 3 of the most critical, high-impact categories from that top 10 list. Honestly, it's kind of shocking how simple a breach can be if we aren't careful. Take broken access control, for example. The problem here? Imagine a regular user simply changes a single number in a website link, and boom, suddenly they bypass authorization to view an admin dashboard or another customer's private account. Sounds basic, right? But it happens constantly. The fix is that our systems must strictly verify exactly who a user is and what specific permissions they have before showing them absolutely any information. Next up is cryptographic failures. The problem is storing passwords or credit cards in plain text, or just using weak configurations. If we do that, anyone who breaches the system can easily read the data. The fix here is non-negotiable. We have to scramble all sensitive data using strong, modern encryption methods. That way, even if the data gets stolen, it just looks like unreadable gibberish to the attacker. It protects our customers and it protects our corporate liability.
And finally, let's look at injection. The problem happens when an app can't tell the difference between user input and actual software instructions. If an attacker types a malicious database command right into a standard website form field, a vulnerable app gets confused, runs the command, and could potentially delete massive amounts of data, or let the attacker log in without a password. The fix? We must architect our apps to treat all untrusted user inputs strictly as text, never, ever as executable commands.
Which brings us to this really stark realization. A single overlooked vulnerability can lead to data breaches, massive financial loss, and a complete destruction of user trust. As executives, we have to recognize that these aren't just abstract IT bugs for the engineering team to stress over. No, these are massive, immediate business liabilities. And that leads us directly into Section 4, the true business cost, and how these critical flaws actually impact the bottom line. Because every single time a customer interacts with us online, they're trusting us with their identity, their most sensitive data, and their money. The immediate damage of a breach from ignoring these specific apps is absolutely brutal. First, loss of trust. If a broken access control flaw exposes private accounts, those users are going to abandon our brand for a competitor, period. Second, financial penalties. Cryptographic failures lead to massive regulatory fines and compliance violations. And third, operational downtime. Things like injection attacks can corrupt databases or take systems completely offline, halting sales and totally freezing our business productivity. Securing our applications means proactively closing these exact gaps.
So how do we actually fix this at an organizational level? Let's move to Section 5, Targeted Risk Mitigation and Aligning Our Company Resources with the OWASP framework. We need to systematically build resilient digital products without slowing down our development pipelines. By fully adopting the OWASP Top 10, we transform security from this broad, unmanageable headache into a highly targeted strategy with 4 distinct business benefits. 1, it focuses our resources on high-probability risks, so we aren't wasting budget on unlikely edge cases. 2, it improves collaboration between teams. 3, it prevents really costly rework before launch. And 4, it easily adapts to evolving cyber threats. Let's expand on that collaboration point because it is totally vital for leadership. Using the OWASP framework creates a universal vocabulary. You see, security fails when management, developers, and security pros are all speaking different languages. But with this standard, when a flaw is identified, our developers know the exact technical mistake to fix. And you, the business leaders, understand the specific risk it poses to our operations. Suddenly, the boardroom and the server room are perfectly aligned on priorities. Furthermore, we have to catch these flaws early. Discovering coding errors or architectural flaws right before deployment that causes massive project delays and huge development cost spikes. It's incredibly expensive. But by training our teams on these principles early, we catch insecure designs during the architecture phase. Early prevention is key because catching a design flaw early costs significantly less than rewriting code after a system is already built and ready to go live. And we really have to remember, attackers are constantly evolving. But because the OWASP standard continuously updates based on global market data, aligning our corporate strategy with it ensures our defense never gets stale. It continually protects our applications from both legacy attack vectors and newly emerging exploitation tactics. So I'll leave you with this final, provocative thought to consider as we plan our strategy moving forward. Are we systematically defending our digital front door, or are we just hoping nobody checks the lock?